Hello, friends, and welcome back. I got Sir Matt here today to break down some of the latest Star Wars news. Pretty big news, and something that Matt has actually been talking about for quite some time. Gina Carano just settled her lawsuit with Disney. And we heard about this. We heard this was brewing. We heard that Elon basically said, hey, if somebody was harmed or hurt because of something that you said or did on this platform, that being Twitter at the time, let him know. Gina just raised her hand and said, me, I think me. And here we are. I think people forget this would not have happened if Elon wouldn't have, brought this up. So, Sir Matt, what's up, man? How's it going? And what are you thinking about this?
Oh man! First of all, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. We just recorded another some Game of Thrones stuff over on good old Bend the Knee. It's just always fun, just chatting. Because man, Peacemaker's about to start. Well,
I know.
Hop back on in a little bit. Talk about some of that. It's just good. But you know, here's the deal. I said this many moons ago back on Hyperspace Hangout, and I will say it again. Is when the whole Gina Carano thing first went down, I said, because so many people were praising it. They're like, let's go Disney, being a champion for, like trans rights and all these things. That was what she, kind of made comments about. Mm-hmm. And I said, if you think for a second that Disney is doing this because they actually believe in like people's rights and all this stuff, I was like, then you're crazy, because the only reason they're doing it is because they think they'll make more money without her than with her. And I also said that if the day comes that they believe that they can make more money with Gina Carano, they will bring her back. No questions whatsoever. And that's exactly what they're doing.
That's what they're
doing. Because they're, Star Wars is still, I think it's in a better place after Andor season 2.
Yeah.
And, we know they're bringing up some of this Rey stuff. Maybe we can talk a little about that. They just are announcing more of this, like Tales of the Jedi or whatever. New Jedi Academy with Rey, and they're bringing it all back. But we know the Mando movie is coming out, and maybe they're thinking, hey, this is going to be really good, and we're going to try to keep that going, right? And maybe there's a character that we need. Maybe they're thinking, man, Range of the New Republic. Like it seemed like that show was like the show that they were like, this is like kind of going to be the successor to Mandalorian. This is going to be the show that's like Mandalorian, is A1A and this is 1B, because a lot of that Bo-Katan stuff we talked about during Mandalorian season 3, a lot of that stuff we thought was really maybe supposed to be Rangers of the New Republic.
Yeah.
And then some people didn't necessarily like the Mandalorian kind of like side plot with actually like Bo-Katan and all this stuff. But we said, how much did that actually impact Mandalorian season 3?
For sure. I think 100% it had a major impact on where the Mandoverse went and where it was going. Like you said, this goes back to they thought she was, bad PR or whatever, and they were going to lose viewership or something because if they kept her in. And that was absolute baloney. People were still going to go watch because you had all these other great, awesome character. One person is not gonna affect everyone's viewing of all the other actors and directors and people working with a project, nor should it. You're gonna have a diverse cast and crew that are working on this. Are we firing the crew members too? Like, are we what I'm saying? Are we what's the deal? So like you said, it comes down to money, and they thought they were going to lose that money if they kept her in. They realized that maybe that wasn't the case. Also, I do think because she got funding for this and she got backed by Elon or whoever, that she was able to actually file a lawsuit. It's hard to file a lawsuit against somebody like this. And lo and behold, what if she doesn't, then we don't have her back, right? If she doesn't file this lawsuit, and they're not going to, because that's the thing, they're going to lose money. This all again comes down to money. If they lose money and their emails are exposed, that's more bad PR. If all of a sudden their emails go into discovery and we have to figure out what Disney was saying about Gina Carano and everybody else, that's bad PR. That's a loss. That's the same loss they're talking about with Gina. So you might, whatever groups you're going to be talking about politically there, it all comes down to money, as Matt said. They're a business at the end of the day. Bob Iger came back and said, look, we need to start entertaining people. We need to start making money again. We need to start actually making good products. And Andor is a good step in that direction. And Gina probably will be a part of bringing a lot of people back to watching whatever show she's going to be in. So,
right. Well, and also, how long has Disney been defending, like, the side that Gina Carano's on, or like arguing against them? right? I mean, let's just say you want to, I mean, if you want to go down that path, like anytime something has failed, what has Disney been the one to say? Oh, it's because you guys are anti-woke and you guys are the ones who like are racist, right? Like they criticized Obi-Wan because they're like, well, because you don't like Reva, well, then you're racist. It's like, maybe I don't like Reva because she needed more time to flesh out on the screen and there wasn't enough backstory for her to really like get it. And why is she in this Obi-Wan thing? You know, I mean, it's like
right.
Part like the Acolyte. Look how much they push back. No, it's because the Acolyte sucked.
It's
like, I mean, it sucked. Like, I mean, the Acolyte didn't fail because it was like, you know, it was woke or whatever. No, it failed because it freaking sucked. It was not a good product. Dude. Like that's
right. It's the spin that they're trying to put on stuff. It's nuts. Like you said, like if it does well, look at Andor. Look at how many strong female characters are in that. Like, I mean, and how many you had
Ahsoka.
You had Ahsoka. Yeah, you have things that are doing well that will work. Yeah, I mean, go back to Gina Carano, which was
Andor season 2. Everyone loved Mon Mothma. Like,
right. And actually, Matt, even Force
Awakens, aren't against strong female characters as long as they're good.
As long as they're good. How many people were on board with Rey for Force Awakens? People were down. I know there was a small group of people, Mary Sue, this, blah, blah. I was one of those people that was like, let's freaking go, dude. Rey's awesome. And then as we go along, it's like, dude, I'm not upset that like, you know, like I'm upset for Rey. I'm upset for Daisy Ridley
because they dropped the ball.
They did not give her a good story. And so again, execute whatever your agenda is. You don't further it. You don't better your agenda by making piss poor content. Flat out. Your message does not get out if you cannot thread the needle, so to speak.
Right.
So,
well, I think, well, you know, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with Gina. I don't agree with what Gina Carano said, right? Because I think it's, you know, pretty clear of the side she's on, which is not the side I'm on. But regardless, I mean, she did have somewhat of a argument for her, because at the same time, like, look at some of the other people that have spoken out about it, right? It's not necessarily like a red versus blue political issue, and Disney's just like all blue. I mean, John Boyega is. Oh, I know. Who is on the blue side has talked tons about how like he was actually discriminated against at Disney and Star Wars and all of these things he was promised. And then a big one we always bring up, and the fandom will bring up, you go to Reddit or anywhere, is we'll go look at the Chinese marketing for The Last Jedi and Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker, and how suddenly they take the black guy and let's bring him down. Why? Because it does better in China. Not to have the black guy, So it's not like Disney is some saint out there who is doing. No, they're a business, and they're going to do whatever it takes to make money. Right. And whether that's we're going to side with these people right now, or we're going to side with these people right now. At the end, like, I mean, if you told Disney they could make, you know, they could be the number one in the box office, which actually this year they're kind of struggling, and Warner Brothers is actually back on top, kicking the crap out of Disney. First year, by the way, ever since The Dark Knight that a DC superhero movie is going to be number one in the box office. Let's go,
baby.
Yeah. So I mean, you know that Bob Iger's sitting there looking at that saying we need to do something, and maybe that's why this is happening.
Right. And you look at James Gunn, who, again, you said red versus blue or whatever. We know which side he's on. We know what his agenda is and all that kind of stuff, right? And you went out there and you actually have a lot of conservative people who are just like, good freaking show, you know, good movie. Right. They weren't super upset with it. It's still the money tells you it is doing well. It was a fun show, and you went in, you had the feels with Superman. So again, same sort of thing. Andor knocked it out of the park. Right. They went and did, like, the proof's in the pudding there, right? You have recipes.
You have to make good content.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with saying that. There's nothing wrong with being like, you know, well, you guys are kind of anti, you know, this show because of these characters or because of their sexual orientation, all these different things. No, we are not. And no one really, I don't think the majority of people are. Yes, you have some crazy extremists or whatever. Oh, sure. For sure. But I would say, like, again, if it's just like Netflix. If I go on, I start watching something and I'm just not into it. It's not about like, I dip out because there's other things to go watch. There's so much that I could go.
I've watched tons of very, like, what you would consider to be red media, even though I live in Portland, Oregon, so you can see where my political alliance is, you know, but it's like, damn, dude, I like Yellowstone because it's a good show.
It's a good show, dude. I don't
sit there. I didn't sit there and be like, oh, Yellowstone sucks, dude, because it's ultra conservative. Right. I'm like, no, dude, Yellowstone's good. And I watched it because it was the case.
I know.
But you know what? It's not like the Yellowstone creators went out there and they're like, oh, all these liberal Democrats don't like our show. No. Why is it that Disney is sitting there saying that, like, oh, you don't like the show because you're a racist or you're sexist? It's like, maybe that's why it's failing, is because you're, like, you know, attacking your audience.
Well, again, the same audience, the same fan base that didn't support Acolyte did support Andor. Full stop. So it's the same fan base that they would refer to. It's not like you had all of a sudden this surge in less than 8 months that said, oh my God, let's go out and support, like, and like you had, since they did that to Acolyte, let's really get in there and support. And no. You had actual Star Wars fans who were just like, Rogue One was really good. Andor season 1 was good. And Andor season 2 was freaking amazing. So we want to watch good Star Wars, high quality stuff. And I even, here you go. Star Wars Theory, for example, he started tonight. I don't know if it's just a quick little recap for people. One of the biggest Star Wars YouTubers, he basically came out. He didn't like the rape scene. Like, he didn't like that was in Star Wars. And so he went out and, just as he always does with every show, he voices his opinion. Didn't really like it. People went nuts on him. So he said, all right, I'm not going to cover it. And the irony here is that, like, actually at the end of the day, you watch his final review. He was on an airplane. He said, at the end of the day, I'm going to do what's best for my community base and my subscribers. They want me to share my thoughts on it, so I will. But I'm going to do it in a small sort of way for them, because he didn't like all the backlash that he sort of got for sharing his opinion. And he does. And I thought, this is what I thought would happen. He looks at it and he goes, yeah, pretty solid show. I mean, to sum it up, there's things that he maybe doesn't like. He always has something he wants to share his opinion on. But in general, somebody who's been very critical of Disney comes out and says, actually not bad. And so you're running people like that off that could actually support your product. This is the crazy thing. You have a fandom that is itching for you to feed them. And you're like, well, we'd actually like to go get those guys over there. We know they're not in our fandom, and they're not, but we really want to bring them in. Okay, I understand your agenda there, but if you make crap and this fandom's not fed, those people have no interest in. There's no hype over here whatsoever. Star Wars Theory is not hyping it. None of the other YouTubers are really into it. You've got the fan base who's sort of like lackluster in terms of like, well, that kind of sucked. I mean, we're not going to that group of people saying, hey man, you should come check this out. This is really freaking cool. You might like it because there's, you know, this is sort of your thing, and there's got a character that's sort of like you. Yeah, we would be doing that if the show was good, right? We would be like, dude, come check this out. And we're not doing it because we watched the first couple episodes and we're like, all right, I don't really know if I want to spend my Tuesday or Wednesday night, you know, I got to work the next day, and it's just not really worth me staying up and watching all of it because it's really kind of hard to follow, or I'm just lost, or it doesn't make sense, or it seems forced. Like there's some really forced lines and forced stuff. And then you have the actors for the Acolyte going out and doing all sorts of media stuff where they're completely almost before it comes out, they're almost already on a PR tour just to say, if this fails, you know, here's the reason why. And it's not me. And it's like, man, I don't know. I hate that happens. I'm not saying that there aren't people out there who are intentionally going around trying to trash shows, but there's clearly not enough of them because they didn't do it for Andor. They didn't. They didn't do it for The Mandalorian. And you look at those shows, and they are diverse, and they do have, you know, a very diverse cast, and they are sort of promoting this agenda that Disney has. I mean, Kathleen Kennedy is very open about including more women and wanting to expand the fan base, and
which I'm all for.
Which again, yeah,
but it still has to be good. Like, you can't just be like okay, I'll take a scene like the woman power scene in Avengers Endgame. Right. Like, remember Endgame when they're all fighting and everything, they kind of have the little moment there where all the girls team up. Yeah. Like, you know what? That was a good scene. Yeah. It worked. Yeah. It was cool. But it wasn't like, hey, it wasn't like the only part of the movie as in like, we're doing this because we don't know what else to do. Like, we're doing it just for this. Like, it's not like, hey, we're making a woman scene in Avengers Endgame because it's like, no, it worked, and it worked in the scene, and it was cool. But it wasn't like this big deal where they're pressing it like they were the acolyte, where like, if you don't like this scene, you're sexist and all this other stuff. No, it was just in the movie and it was cool. If anything, it strengthened the scene, and it's one of the scenes I think about when I think about the movie. I was like, oh yeah, that was pretty cool. Like when they all team up there, because they didn't like let's go girls or any of this. No, it just happened like in the moment, and it was super cool.
Yeah, exactly. And same sort of thing. Andor does this with Cinta and Vel. Like, you're emotionally in a different way, in a more tragic way. You're drawn to these characters, their love story, their arc, the sacrifice. This whole show for Andor is about the sacrifices you make for rebellion. So you have to show characters, right, that you're trying to include more of, that are going to go through real sacrifice. And they just naturally did. And I was like devastated when Cinta is killed and Vel is going through all of this different loss. And you're like, oh my God, dude. Like, and none of it felt forced. It just felt supernatural, super real. And you're just like, this
Mon
is
Mothma's entire story arc in all of Andor was like that.
Right. Exactly.
Very natural and real.
Right. I mean, she's going through marital situations with her husband parent. I mean, like, relatable. Talking about like people who can relate to someone. I mean, again, she was a senator going through, leading a rebellion. But again, or the relationship she has with her daughter because she's too busy with work and different things. They did a really good job of relating to everyday people. And I mean, from every walk of life. And so there's your recipe for success. They masterfully did.
You know what? The Mandalorian did like a girl power scene in season 2, the end, like where they're all on the elevator and they get out. Remember? Because it's Gina Carano, Cara Dune, and Bo-Katan and Fennec Shand. And they have that scene where like the three of them. It was cool, and it worked because it worked for the plot, because there's 3 girls there and then Mando. You know, like it worked, and it was a super cool scene. But they didn't, again, force it down your throat like they have in other things. Like, clearly you know how to do it, right? Clearly you know how to like do it. I think sometimes they know a product isn't going to be as good, so they try to get out ahead of it to like, and for whatever reason, it's like a Disney PR thing, is to just be like, well, you know, we'll just blast people if they don't like it, you know. And I don't know. So like, maybe it's the idea is, but it'll create controversy, and controversy creates cash, you know, and like and then you get people to be like, well, as long as people are still viewing it, whether they hate it or not. Yeah. Like, if we get people, like, some people probably watch The Acolyte because they heard it was so bad.
That's where, that's a crazy thing. You talk about just average people, and I think most people, when they hear you say that, or when if that's a reality, that Disney's going to lead that way, it's the opposite of what Warner Brothers does, or HBO Studios. And stuff,
right? And no other studio does that.
No, that's what I'm saying. There's other studios that
don't see that in other studios come out and be like, well, if you didn't like it, you're woke or you're racist or whatever. But Disney,
it's weak leadership.
Disney, and it's across the board. I don't even think, I used to think it was a Kathleen Kennedy thing. Now I think it's just a Disney culture thing, because the same thing happened with Snow White, and the same thing has happened in some of their other like movies and stuff.
Yeah. It's so too bad, because if you're confident in your product, just walk out and be confident. And if it fails, it failed. Like, take that in stride and keep right on going. But if you're trying to earn a few bucks through chaos or through sympathy or through whatever, then you really are what Matt and I, when we started this whole thing, it's the almighty dollar that is driving you, and it's driving you, and you're actually doing it in a sense that is, it doesn't seem you're coming from a position of power or strength, or I don't know. It just seems weak.
I think we've talked for a long time, and I don't. Unfortunately, it's hard to really look at like all of the exact data because they don't really release it. But I think if you were to really break it down and look at it, what most Wall Street guys and stuff, which I follow, I mean, ESPN is by far the biggest moneymaker at Disney. I don't even think anything else is even close. They just spent like $1.6 billion getting the rights to WWE pay-per-views, like to have it exclusively streaming on their platform. So like ESPN and like especially with their monopoly of college football, I think it's like so big that and then I think Marvel is probably, I think we can all agree Marvel is probably a bigger business than Star Wars. I would have to imagine. Then I don't know whether they're family friendly content like Bluey and all, all that stuff, and Disney Plus and all the other stuff. But I mean, man, dude, it still has for a long time felt like Star Wars, which should be like one of its biggest pillars. It often feels like, well, you're just down there, I mean, and like Marvel's way up here, but with Marvel fatigue being real, Pixar has also been struggling. They Elio or whatever their movie was that came out earlier this year is like the worst performing Pixar movie ever. And I mean, it's kind of the time where it's like, look, I think one of the reasons that Superman was so successful was because people have wanted DC to be so good, and it's a fresh reboot, and it felt fresh and new and original, where we've had comic book fatigue from like post Avengers. That now really is the time. Like, I think this Mandalorian movie is a pretty big deal. Like, if it flops, it's gonna be a big deal. I don't think it's going to, by the way. I don't know if it'll be like $1 billion movie, but I think it's probably like 500 million plus. I think it will be a successful movie. But if it flops, we're gonna see like a big ripple in Star Wars.
Yeah, that's that they do, because they talked about. I mean, that's been their new agenda, which is sort of like with the Rey stuff, as you were alluding to earlier. They want to come back to the theater, and they want to bring really high quality products there and make money. And so, yeah, if this Grogu Mandalorian movie doesn't do well, I mean, we're in trouble. I mean, because that then is a signal to the studio, unless they just have the boldness to push through backlash. Like, I mean, imagine if George Lucas started episode 1 and everybody thought, oh, this is terrible, and he listened to the reviews and it was just crap, and they laughed and they mocked him, and he didn't finish episode 2 and 3. Right. That's the problem that I think Disney has, is that they're like, well, let's start this one-off thing and see how it goes. And if Acolyte doesn't do well, we don't have to keep going. Or now let's try this. Oh, that didn't work. Let's it's a guess and check thing. And there's no clear sort of, let's just, the Mandoverse is the closest I've seen them come to it, which is like, okay, let's actually do 3 seasons of that and then work in Ahsoka and start to work towards something that would be like the Marvel verse, right? And get this interconnected cameos. You're showing up here, you're showing up there. And then the Cara Dune stuff literally derailed it, and they couldn't just push through and persevere through that. And then you're like, now, if this movie flops or we have some trouble with it, are they going to see it through to the end? Or are we going to be left with just like, we'll finish it in comic books, or we'll do a one-off story? That's a joke.
I mean, kind of, because unfortunately you've built this whole deal towards like you've decided to bring Thrawn in and have it be this whole big deal, and it feels like you're going to go somewhere with it. I mean, you could maybe finish it in like another movie where you just do like a one-off whatever, and then let's say that the Rey movie, and then the Ryan Gosling or whatever movie, the Starfighter, that Matt Smith, by the way, is apparently going to be playing a villain. So which is good, kudos to him, because he was supposed to be a villain in season 9 or episode 9, and none of that stuff didn't happen. And who knows, we could come back and speculate about that at some point.
For sure.
But I'm interested to see, because I still feel like it'd be best if we were focused on just one timeline. Like, that was one of the things that made the Clone Wars so good, was that everything took place. It was like all prequels, all Clone Wars, all of that media, all of the games, the comics, the cartoons, the movies, everything was like, you could focus in on one timeline, where we're still in this age of like, where are we at? I mean, like where are we decided to go? I mean, now we're about to do this mall stuff that is going to be like even closer to like Bad Batch, whatever. And it's just like, it's just so far, you lose, stuff doesn't feel as connected as it should when it's all over the place in the timeline. Okay,
but back to our point, like, if you're Lucasfilm and you want to grow the fandom and you want to include a lot of those people that weren't traditionally in the fandom, and those people start to walk in, their new project flops, and then you don't finish it out, and then you go back to Darth Maul, and you then from there you're going to go to Thrawn, and you all of a sudden are bringing these new people in, and you're saying, hey, come check out these new characters. They flop and don't work. Oh, wait, let's bring back the old characters real quick. Maybe you'll like them. Well, that's actually not that audience. It's actually our traditional audience who have been here for 40, 50 years. You see how they're all like, I said it last time, your focus determines your reality. And as Matt just said, if you would just actually focus in on one timeline, like they did, like, you're right, having all of the media be, all the video games are about the Clone Wars, the comic books, the novels, the TV show is running, having all that going right when you and I were going to college. Actually, during that time, they were really just expanding all of that. And George Lucas he's in control, and he literally said, no media in this time, in this time slot. You can go do EU stuff. You can extend Luke Skywalker's story. If I ever get to that, I'll redo it. But he would not let them write about his time period until he had finished his movies and he was done with Clone Wars, and he had whatever. They kind of coordinated it, but everything was central to that spot. So if you're into Star Wars and you're into what's going on, what's the new thing, everyone was talking about the same thing, the same timeline. We're all talking about this corner of Star Wars. We're not talking about the Old Republic necessarily, although there were a few different offshoot stuff there. We're not talking about the sequels. We were really, the large bulk of it was right here. Now we're talking about Thrawn, the Ahsoka stuff. We're going to bounce back to Maul. We're going to go all the way to the end of the timeline with Rey. We might go back to some old, but we have the Dawn of the Jedi.
Well, the Acolyte's like so far back. It's just,
yeah. So I'm saying, like, you're exactly right. Like, how can you have an audience, especially your new audience, your incomers, come in and grasp what you're doing? Like,
yeah, that's because I think what everyone has been trying to do ever since it started has been replicate the MCU. It's the most like successful form of media pretty much ever. And everyone has been trying to figure out, how do we do that? And the thing that made the MCU work, that Star Wars I think has been struggling with, even though there are all these movies and it is, the whole universe is connected, it still comes down to the MCU for the most part pretty much was, you watch this movie, somebody shows up. And it was a pretty much straight line. I mean, like Captain America's a prequel, but you got to see the Tesseract, and okay, well, here's how it's connected. That all of the connections felt for the most part pretty direct.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
As you got along, then they kind of felt a little further apart. But Star Wars, has constantly been jumping like 30 years ahead, 40 years ahead, like 200 years behind. And when you watch one show and then you watch the next show, those shows do not feel connected whatsoever because they're totally different places in the Star Wars timeline. And that's not to say the shows aren't good or bad or whatever, but it's like, we all got super excited when we watched Book of Boba Fett and Mando shows up, right? Because we've been watching Mandalorian, and Book of Boba Fett, as we all said, felt like the next season of Mandalorian.
Right. Yeah, actually,
and like Andor was great, but it connects to Rogue One, and so it's like this small story that, I mean, right? I mean, like, you could have still told a similar story that could have been like involved in the Mandoverse. I loved Andor. I'm not just, I'm just crediting it. But at the same time, I'm saying, like, why are they still bouncing back and forth so much? Because none of the stuff ends up feeling connected. It's connected in the bigger sense of it's Star Wars, but wouldn't it still be better to just say all of our media for the next 10 years is going to be like the Mandalorian timeline?
Yeah. And
so it feels like this interconnected universe where it's like it makes you feel like you have to watch every episode, whereas now it's just like, well, what's that connected? I don't care. Like, immediately you can dismiss it because it's like, I don't care.
I know. And also, you don't, like, when you go back to the Darth Maul story, yes, it's cool because your traditional fans love Darth Maul, that character, but we know where he ends up. There's no real, like, who are we going to care about? Who are we going there to sort of, learn more about? Sure, Darth Maul, and we're interested.
And it's Dave Filoni. I'm sure it will be great, but
I'm sure too.
My excitement isn't nearly as high as it would be as like, this is going to be something in the Mandalorian universe, because I want to see what happens with Thrawn, and that's what you've been building towards for these past couple of years with Ahsoka and Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett.
Let me ask you a question. Who do we know in canon who kills Thrawn? No. We have no clue. We don't know yet. We don't know how he dies. We don't know what is going to happen to Ezra Bridger. What's his final act, right? What happens to Ahsoka? Does she make it? Does she not? What happens to Grogu? We have no clue. That was their gold mine. They should literally like see that all the way through and get us to the end of that story and milk it for everything it's worth. You already have a lot of fans on board for it. And then they derail themselves by jumping back to wasting money on an Acolyte series that they could have just said, take that same writer and say,
the Acolyte was,
it was such a misstep.
It was a stupid idea in the first place because it's too far away. I mean, like, forget everything that happened in it. I think it was just a stupid idea to say, we're going to create a show right now that is like, to tie into the Old Republic, right? And it's because they decided to do this big, huge Old Republic books and comics, and they felt like they needed something to connect it to. But at the end of the day, like, it's so far removed from pretty much everything else that it immediately felt like there was no reason to even watch it before you get into any of the controversial stuff.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Exactly. And so like I was saying, I mean, why move resources in time away from the Mandoverse to do that. Whether you like it or you don't, it doesn't seem smart in terms of just building out community and building out your fan base and building hype around this, like through the press and everything else, hype around what's coming next. Oh my God, this is connected. Ahsoka's there. Wait, what about like the Mortis gods? Are they involved now? I mean, that's where they still have a lot of, building and hype. I mean, even Andor, as good as it was, we know what happens. We sort of know where he goes. We had a few storylines we were, chasing down, and it's executed beautifully. My God, take that same guy and let's go over here, bring him in to with Dave and Jon Favreau, or even Leslie Headland. I mean, this is going to sound ridiculous. Instead of giving Leslie Headland a show called The Acolyte and work, just say, Leslie, we want you involved. Bring whatever you've got. Here's what we're doing in the Mandoverse. Work together, and we need a show called this. And we need the show. We're gonna have cameos, but you get to be in Star Wars, and you come on, that would have been
because that story could take place at any time, right? Like that story could have taken place.
It's not time sensitive.
It didn't need to be tied to the Old Republic. The idea, there were pieces of that show, and we've talked about that worked. But she just tried to do way too much. Now, okay, let's tie it back into Gina Carano real quick, because you and I have talked about the ripple effects, I think, of Rangers of the New Republic, which is, I think, actually why so much of the stuff happened. Why I think a lot of that story gets shifted.
Yeah.
Do you think they will do it now that they're bringing her back?
I think they will. I think they said that they look forward to seeking opportunities to work with her in the future. I actually heard a couple of different podcasts say that's just talk, and that was just them doing that. They would release a PR statement, just something that sort of backed and supported her, and that was a part of their settlement, is that they would just what did they actually said, let me see right here, they thanked her, let's see, they basically said that Miss Carano was always well respected by her directors, co-stars, and staff, and she worked hard to perfect her craft while treating her colleagues with kindness and respect. With this lawsuit concluded, we look forward to identifying opportunities to work together with Ms. Carano in the near future. Now, some people think they're just saying that to say it. I think they actually are. I think they really do want to set their sights back in on the Mandoverse, and they want to bring this all to a finish and to an epic conclusion. And I think they need that character. It's been obvious, it's been glaring that she's not there. But now they've left it open. There is a way for her to come back, and they definitely should. It's if I were her, I wouldn't settle just for a news release statement and say, just say something nice, or that you plan on it, or that you're, it's just wishful think. No, they're going to bring her back. You don't settle for something unless, like she has in writing, they're going to include her in some sort of project, or there's some sort of big offer on the table. You know what I mean? Because it's one thing just to say, we're going to give you restore some of your reputational currency from us. We're going to give you some of that back just by doing this announcement. And it's another thing to say, we're actually going to hire you back. When you hire this individual back, it really does show you're really vouching for that person and saying, look, guys, we didn't just say we were going to hire her back. We did. And that is the only thing I would settle for if I were her. If you're not making some sort of we don't know the full terms of the settlement, but as I said before, it's twofold. They don't want to go into discovery and emails and all the different things that were taking place behind the scenes, or they don't want Elon Musk to expose all the different stuff that he found in Twittergate surrounding all of this different stuff that I get just basically the war that whatever they were saying, whatever he has, he must have something on them that they don't want to bring that to open court. So they settled. And so, long story short, I think they really actually will bring her back into the Mandoverse as Cara Dune. And I think
she was only even asking for $75,000. What I just read here, which is really? To Disney's nothing. You should have settled in the first place. $75,000 compared to the millions of dollars you're making off TV shows and everything. I mean, that's just actually pretty stupid on their part. You lose, but who cares? It's only to Disney. I mean, 75 grand you make in seconds. So come on now.
Yeah, right. Well, it is, almost like it was this principal matter that they were going to stick to their firing and stick to their guns. And you're like, well, actually, and she has said this, and other actors and even Jon Favreau, I think, and different folks came out and said that they supported her and whatnot. Right. I mean, that's what she said anyways. And I think it's right. I think it's true. I think she was easy to work with and they enjoyed her. She has her opinions on Twitter. Okay. But clearly other people, we live in a society where like half of the population is red,
is
half
one
of the
way.
population
Exactly.
is blue.
Yeah.
Like you have to live with each other and work together. It's okay. It's the great American compromise is that the melting pot is we're all in here working together and we are allowed to have different opinions and what have you. And we got to work together. You have to go to work with those same people. Matt, I don't get to go to work and basically just say, only work with Democrats unless I'm working for like the National Democratic, sort of
right.
like a committee or convention or whatever. I have to go to work with people who believe differently than me. I have to teach students that come from different homes that literally have different upbringings, and I can't just pick and choose. Well, I don't want to work with those kids. I'm only going to educate these kids. Like that's a joke, man. We have to work together. And so I'm glad that they settled. I'm glad they came to some arrangement. I think it's a shame that it took Elon Musk and him backing Cara Dune to get him to the table to do that. That's a shame.
I think and we don't agree with what she said, but I mean,
no, I don't. I don't agree.
Figure it out. I mean, it's just, I mean, there's a large population that enjoys her character.
Yeah,
I actually enjoys her. Like, I really liked the Cara Dune character.
Me too.
I think it was great, and I think it's been. I think it's Mandalorian season 3 suffered because.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something. This might hurt Elon Musk's feelings, and I'm sorry if it does, but I don't think a lot of people are on Twitter and X. I mean, I know there are, statistically speaking, a lot of people, but a lot of my friends that I talk to and stuff, they're not really on it. I
used to be.
I didn't even know. Like I'm on it, but I mean, I'm not really like actively using it like I do maybe Instagram or YouTube or something else. So I honestly didn't even know all of the different controversies surrounding some of those tweets because I'm just not there. I'm a Star Wars fan watching this. And so that to me was like, I don't think a lot of people even, unless you bring attention and shed a spotlight on it, it really wasn't doing a whole lot. I think it's actually made it like worse. Essentially, because they then put a huge spotlight on it and blew I kind of blew it out of proportion, essentially. And not that I know people have different opinions about what she said. So I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the idea that like, I don't think a lot of people were over there and cared that much. I just watched Cara Dune and thought, cool character, man. Like, this is awesome. I don't actually know. And this is shame on me, but I'm a story guy. I'm a lore guy. I've loved Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi. I didn't for the longest time even know that Mark Hamill was Luke Skywalker because I'm a kid. Kids don't know the actors. They don't know all of those, their political values and stuff. They just like that character. She's cool and stuff. So, it's, I think we get too caught up in what everybody's saying on social media and different things. And I don't know. I just think it got blown out of proportion. I'm actually glad that she is coming back, hopefully. And I think her character is good for young girls. I think it's good for young girls.
I do too. Do you think she cameos in the movie?
I think there's time. I do think there's time. And I actually bet you that was one of the things that they probably said, hey, we're going to guarantee a cameo for you in this movie. And we've talked to Jon Favreau or whoever, and we got you in. We need you in the suit next week. Like,
does he want her in?
Yeah. Why wouldn't you release a trailer with her in it? Like, why wouldn't you do that? That would be sick.
Right. I have family. It's like I have family members on the other political side, but I mean, they're still my family. Like, I'll still see them at Thanksgiving and stuff.
Absolutely. And they're going to be super pumped, and you can bond over that character and be like, you know what? That's a sick character. I love her arc. And I think she's super cool. And actually at the end of the day, she's a good person. She's actually a nice person who's just really wanting to be in the art. When you strip all that stuff away about like, well, this person said this one thing, they should be canceled. We should silence them. Dude, at the end of the day, most people are just trying to make it. They're honestly just trying to get through life. They've been fed. They're tuned into a certain news channel, and that's affecting who a lot of what they think, see, and feel, and whatever. And it is what it is. How is it that half of this is kind of political, but like, how is it that like 50% of our nation, is just 50% of our nation wrong, and the other half is right? And if you talk to those two sides, they would say yes. And it's like, actually, no. Most of them, I think most of America is in the middle. I think most people are.
Oh, we are.
You're talking the extremes. You let the extremes.
It's the biggest. It's the biggest problem in America over the past, like, I would say 30 years. It feels like even is where it's gotten really bad. Is that essentially our political system has gotten to the point where we just line up enough people on one side to tell the other side that they're wrong and that they're evil and they're terrible human beings, rather than like just coming together and being like, all right, let's try and find something that works for everyone. And that's what it is. And we just bounce back and forth. It's okay. Well, 4 years we're going to be like this, and 4 years we're going to be like this, and we're all caught in the middle while Congress is over there making millions of dollars insider trading and just trying to convince us all that that our next door neighbor, our mom, our dad are like ruthless, evil human beings for believing in things. And then they convince us to try to become champions for these issues that really don't have a lot of like impact on our actual everyday lives.
Yeah.
I mean, even, and that's not to say like that they don't impact a lot of people, but like some issues, it's like, man, it's like none of those issues really affect me, but they try to convince you that it's like the single most pressing thing that exists in the world. And it's not. And it's like, it's not worth hating your family members over. It's terrible. And it bleeds into everything, including social media, which includes, and everyone just ramps everything up when somebody says something. And then the next thing you know, like they're canceled.
Right. Again, and you look at, there's people of all of their statements, it's like you'll find maybe 1 or 2% of what she was actually saying was political. And then you go look at the rest of it. You're like, oh, there's a lot of really other really awesome tweets out there, but we're judging people on 1%.
I love Mark Hamill. And he's blue and I'm blue, but sometimes I think he's way too blue. When I see some of the stuff he's saying, I'm like, Mark, I got to disagree with you. But you know what? If you were to ever say that in Star Wars fandom, it's like, well, you're a heretic.
You're a heretic. Get out of here, buddy. This guy's, and I think the thing too, like you were mentioning, some of these bigger issues and stuff like that, people doesn't really affect them or they don't really care that much. Like honestly, like Disney has this agenda of putting more females, like with the Rey series, right? They're talking about. Because they cast Ryan Gosling as like the new lead in Star Wars Starfighter. So they cast a white male as a new lead. Okay. And then it's almost like they had to knee jerk back and say, well, just so you know, we are casting numerous other projects where we're going to be intentional about female leads. Buddy, listen, I'm glad you're doing that. And I'm glad that you have that intentionality. That is awesome. Freaking let's go, baby. But I swear to God, if your only thing is to just do it, then you have failed your mission. You have actually failed what you're trying to do here.
Right. Because there are plenty of female characters that I'm like, oh, I would watch a solo, obviously, you know, Carrie Fisher's gone, but like a Leia movie. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I'd watch that because we know Leia's a good character. I would watch a Kira movie with with what's her name? Because how am I blanking on her name?
Amelia Clark,
right? Because it could be like Solo too, and there was a cool story there, and I want to know what happens next to her because she just kind of falls off the face of the earth, and there's story there. I want to know what happens. I watched Ahsoka because I like Ahsoka. Actually, I watched it because Sabine was in it too, and I was like, okay, there's two characters that I like. At the end, it still has to be a good story.
It still has to be, and you know. Over time, if you're looking to play this long game, like if you're sitting at the seat over at Lucasfilm and you're like, this might sound terrible. Maybe I'm totally wrong and I don't understand the issue and the problem. People can say that it's cool. If like you just said, you like Leia and you like that character and that character is a strong character and you would like to watch her on her own. Well, if to further your agenda, if you had to first put her in where the lead was a male, to create that character and show us how awesome she is, to then go make her own solo project. If that's what you have to do, to sort of to play to your agenda or your narrative, and that's the playbook of success for you to get people into those characters, then do it. Right. Then do it. Don't shy away. Like do whatever is necessary to accomplish your agenda and make it good and put them side by side with characters that we care about.
Like
and love.
I expect whatever the big, you know, deal is with like the new Jedi Academy that takes place after episode 9 for Rey to be the main character because she is the Jedi that would be leading the Academy.
Yeah. Right.
You know, I mean, like, obviously it's that is the character and that is the character who's going to be driving the story forward. Like I still want to see it. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to convince me that it's this whole female cast. And it's like, okay, like,
yeah, we know.
That's we know that.
and go back to your stats and look at The Force Awakens and look how many people were stoked for that character. We all loved Daisy Ridley and we were down.
They failed her.
They failed her, dude. Like
it's not the fans didn't fail Rey. Disney did.
Yeah, dude. Exactly. That's exactly right.
Because they failed the character. Because they didn't have the director set up to have a coherent story that would carry through the movies. Because they literally let the entire plot of her character be like, well, her parents matter. Okay. No, your parents actually don't matter. Oh, okay. No, actually, actually they do, and it's Palpatine. What?
Yeah, I know. It's like, what the heck, man? Oh God. So it's all around and they know they fumbled it, which is why Matt has said many times. It's why you don't see comic books. You don't see novels around that. You don't see other TV shows and movies. They know they
video
fumbled
games.
So, okay, don't blame anybody else. Show strong leadership. Take that on and say, we made some missteps. We are going, because you have fans of that character, we are going to make it right. You are going to love this. And we're putting all of our attention and resources. We got our best people on it. We are going to make an awesome blockbuster, make you cry, make you cheer type of show. Come on, dude, or movie or whatever. Like, if you told me that, I would be like, they're doing something big. But they're not. They're not talking like that. They're not. And so I'm sort of like, okay, is it just the same playbook as before? Because it's been 50-50.
Even what should have been like Rey's coolest moment was totally over. Like the coolest moment out of her entire arc should have been her versus Palpatine. But instead it was, I'm all the Sith and I'm all the Jedi. Yeah. So it's not just Rey. It's actually all the Jedi coming together.
To
take down Palpatine. Like,
right.
We never actually got a Rey is cool moment.
I know.
Like, there was never a Rey is cool on her own moment in the entire thing.
Right. Yeah.
Like, and that's right. And like, so it's like when people criticize the character Rey, it's like because a lot of her character was weak, but it's not. Like they assume it is like, well, you hate Disney is like, well, you hate women. It's like, no, you guys are the ones who didn't make her cool enough.
Yeah, that's on you guys. Yeah, like you're right. You instead of making her most epic moment all about her, you made it about
just compare two characters. Like we see Ahsoka take on Darth Maul in Clone Wars, and it's a sick fight. So we are more excited about that character. She shows up and she takes on Din Djarin, who we've been led to be as cool. Right. She takes him out, like, and she's a total badass in Rebels because she feels like this super powerful, wise Jedi. Dude.
Yeah,
and like that's the difference. Is you need to have, like, they never once allowed her to do something super epic to where people would have liked her.
I know.
They they actually just criticized us for even considering that she wasn't cool.
Yeah, like you look at so the fight with like you're in all three movies, the Force Awakens fight, it's like barely makes it, barely like survive. Whatever. There's the Force's awakening in her, so the cool fight in
the cool fight in The Last Jedi, which is her and Kylo Ren, but they're fighting the guards, and it's it's like Kylo Ren who really kind of steals the show.
Right, and because he killed Snoke. Like, again, had she have killed Snoke or something, I'd be like, dude, what? Like, I mean, imagine the different things you could have done with that character. Where, I mean, people be like, oh, she's too powerful, she's whatever. But again, I don't even know, man. There's a lot of different things you could have done that would have given Rey more credit, given her more, just more currency in our fandom, because she is. It's just it's so squandered. I don't even know.
I mean, they can fix it.
They can fix it, and that's
us in this new movie. I need to see her doing Jedi Master level stuff that is epic.
Right. So I also need quotes. I need some wisdom quotes. I need a wise Rey, because right now she feels like if she's Master Rey, then okay, like what has she done
at the end of the Mandalorian season 2, where Luke is going through wrecking every single one of those the Dark Forces troopers.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, if that had been Ahsoka, we'd be like, that's like we would be like, that's a freaking sick moment. Right? Because it is a badass moment on its own.
Right.
I mean, Rey doesn't have any of those, when plenty of other female Jedi characters throughout history and just plenty of other female characters do.
Right. And that's what she needs. She does need that in this new Jedi Order, and they have to make her master level. They have to show us some struggle that she's had, or talk about what she's learned from this.
The Armorer has more badass moments than Rey.
Yeah,
I mean, seriously, when she's fighting those dudes at the end of Mandalorian season 1, those like stormtroopers, and she's basically got just her.
And it's just her. Yeah,
it's just like her freaking her metal tongs and her hammer, and she's just leveling dudes. I mean, Rey doesn't have a moment like that because Disney never gave her one.
Yeah, man, if you go through that lens and you look for awesome, epic moments with Rey in Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. Yeah, it's really just the Praetorian Guard fight, which is alongside Ben Solo or Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
And then because that whole movie, she's just on an island with Luke training, saying that she's no one.
Like lifts rocks at the end of Last Jedi.
Yeah,
that's it. Really... that is her like her most epic moment. Dude, like lifting the rocks at the end of Last Jedi.
Luke Skywalker was a hero of the rebellion. Out of nowhere, this guy blows up the single impossible shot, blows up the Death Star. All of a sudden, like fate tapped him on the shoulder and said, "We need a hero," and here he came. That's fine. Fate came and tapped Rey on the shoulder and said, "We need a hero," and she actually gets kidnapped. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then, like, we had to have other heroes.
She flies the Millennium Falcon. That's it too.
Right.
And she has a couple, like the training montage at the beginning of like Rise of Skywalker is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But like, that's it, man. She has nothing even more close to being as like epic as any of the other Jedi we'd ever seen.
What are her only fights? So her only lightsaber fights are Kylo Ren.
She fights Kylo Ren.
And then she fights the Praetorian Guards.
And then she fights Kylo Ren again on the
Death Star.
Death Star, stupid water world, terrible.
Yeah,
that's actually the only actual like lightsaber fight in that movie.
Yeah,
because then she fights her and Ben Solo fight some of like the Knights of Ren,
right, for a second,
and then throws the lightning back at Palpatine.
2 lightsaber story because Leia laid the lightsaber down years ago because she knew somebody would need to pick it up. And if you can do a vision like that and premonitions from Leia, you can do a Mara Jade premonition story. That's all I'm saying. It's there. Take it Disney and make a bunch of money. I would love for you to do it. But yeah, dude, I mean, it's we're beating what do they call it? I don't know. That we've said it enough, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, I hope Gina Carano's back. I hope she comes in and does really well because again, she can further their. Ironically, Matt, she's on a different side of the aisle, right? She's on she's like Gina Carano doesn't fit necessarily the political ideologies of Lucasfilm and the higher ups there, but she can do more, actually more for their agenda than they've done. Right. I mean, she's a person with the ability to come in and bring in that new audience that you want. And they just get rid of her. I mean, it's kind of wild, don't you think? I mean, she could be.
Yeah.
A lot of girls could look up to her.
You need those people to bring them in. You need to have a blend of. It helps bring more people in because they get attached to a character that they like.
Right, and then I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, or just I don't know. Like if you're Disney and you think about it, like if you're trying to convert people to your cause or your ideologies, why would you not have Gina Carano come in and keep bringing more people who like her into your fandom and keep, going forward with your agenda and your messaging? Why wouldn't you do that? Anyways, so they will, and they're going to. But all right, that's all. We'll come back. We're going to do some speculation in the future on Darth Maul and when I don't even know when that's coming out.
I don't know.
Shadows of Maul. I think it's next year. So I think we got some time. Feels like
there's a big lull in Star Wars right now.
Nothing. I don't think there's really anything coming out. There's some audiobooks being released and stuff like that. But I think we're kind of in a lull. But we'll come back when we'll have more news and we'll have some trailers and stuff that'll be released. There'll be news about Mandoverse and season 2 Ahsoka. There's news about Obi-Wan and they're all going to be in the Ahsoka 2 apparently. So like.
Yes.
Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen have talked about being in Ahsoka 2 for
down
real,
for that.
Which would be really cool. Which leads people to believe there might be a Kenobi season 2. And I think again, like it just make it cool, like put money into it. So we'll see how that goes. But all right, friends. Hey, don't forget to follow Matt over at Super Games Bros. We actually released a podcast also on Bend the Knee. We just did an actual sick theory for those of you guys who are into Song of Ice and Fire. We just did a sick theory on the Sphinx over there and the revelation behind Jon Snow's true parentage. It's sick. You should go check it out. And also we released stuff over on his podcast, Super Games Bros. Go check it out. All the links are down in the description. Link tree's down there. And we'll be back with more news in the future. So appreciate you guys. And as always, may the Force be with you.